White Lace 2, second half. Copyright October the 22nd, 2008. I stood still for an instant, not sure if this actually was my grandmother. The figure beckoned to me, and I realized I was going to have to come to her if I wished to solve this mystery. The figure was dressed in a wide sweeping ballroom gown, and although her long hair and turned head obscured her face, her ample breasts were just visible below her corset and bodice. I quickly walked towards the figure, and when I stood but 4 feet away from her, I turned my head to look at the same scene the silent, hovering figure seemed to be looking at. Where I should have seen the ground of the girls' school of etiquette, and perhaps the flickering torches of the processions of socializing students, was not to be seen. There was featureless darkness as far as the eye could see. I and the lady figure and the building that enclosed us had been removed from the mortal realm of a rebellious Upper Canada. Then the figure suddenly seized my hands in taloned rough as sandpaper webbed hands, and I turned my head to look at her grinning demonic face. I beheld a face and head that held no human brain. I beheld the snouty, dagger-toothed smile of a shark. Once my cursed grandmother held me like a fly in a spider's fierce embrace. She revealed the true extent of her transformed body's curse. That did me no earthly good, but left me in a shocked state of submission as she forced her curse out of her own self and onto the waiting vessel of my body and soul. As her monstrous body shrank and took on her more familiar womanly shape, mine rapidly mutated as it took form of a cursed dragon shark. My shirt burst open along its back as a huge shark's fin grew out of my spine. As my body began to enlarge, I could feel the tug of my stretching skin, a tug that became more painful as my pale white skin changed into the thick gray sandpaper hide of a great white shark. My human teeth were pushed out of my expanding gums as inch-long serrated daggers replaced them. A heavy muscular tail flowed out of my back as my hind legs swelled, grew clawed, webbed feet, and were covered in green scales. A pair of gigantic bat's wings burst out along the sides of my shoulders as my torso elongated and became more streamlined. As my green-scaled neck lengthened, separating my shark head from the rest of me, several pairs of gills formed underneath its thick dragon scales. In all the changes, I barely noticed the reformation of my belly as my insides melded, broke apart, and reformed to put a fire in my lungs, and a womb in my belly. My clothing had burst off my expanding monster shark form, and curiously, my first thought as a monster were not ones of destruction or vengeance, but of a need to hide myself in the darkness, to hide my huge nude form from my once again human grandmother's prying eyes. Hence, though I was only about 9 feet tall, after my initial transformation, I did not hesitate to leap the 20 feet to the unseen ground below. As soon as I was away from the shield my grandmother had erected to hide her dark magics, the world of the humans came again before me, and as I leapt into the unseen, the grasses below me suddenly became visible, and I managed an easy landing that barely jolted a bone in my new body. I gathered myself up, looked in the direction of the building behind me. Slowly the blackness my grandmother had cloaked it in faded away.